What's going on, YouTube friends and family? It's your boy, the Badwolf. All right, so this particular video is going to be about the um, passport denial letter, okay, or rejection letter, or pending denial letter, okay. So, but before I jump into that, I just want to also throw a shout out to all the people out there for supporting the channel, for supporting the information. A couple quick things I just wanted to throw out at you as well. One, there's a ton of other people who have this information, and amongst all of us, one, you'll always find that you're never going to hear me talking about somebody's channel in a negative way, because however they present their information on their particular research is their faith and their belief. So you'll never see me going tit for tat with anybody else's channel or their information. I always welcome the information from other people just to look at it, review it, and maybe even update and make the process that we have going on here better. Okay, but all this information can be interpreted different ways, despite some of it being very concrete and very obvious. And then there's also going to be some people who are going to do a little bit more due diligence in their work. You're going to make the phone calls. You're going to put your whatever out on the line there to see what it does, and you're going to take the time to process. So you as viewers have to look at the success of people, look at the even some of the fees that some of the people charge, and make sure that this is something that's right for you. Do your own research. Don't just take people's information and just run with it. But at the end of the day, at least my goal is to make you guys have the knowledge, make you guys basically be on the same level as me in the knowledge of all this stuff. That's why I make the videos. So watch all the videos, and just be smart about everything you guys do out there. At the end of the day, I just want you guys to be successful in where you're getting. And before I get started, so the issue keeps coming up about the stars and on the passport. I've made tons of videos on there. I'm not going to continue to make them on it. My overall thoughts on the stars on the card is that when I personally called the Department of State and talked to them about this information, they said that they are national security. Okay, so that means that they are something. They're not just randomly put on there. It's based on your information. Now the problem is we don't know exactly what that information is, but over the years, after having done the research, there does seem to be a pattern there, and we have been very successful at, I guess if you will, understanding to the best of our ability what they mean and how they're associated. The proof is in the pudding, the evidence is there, if you know how to interpret it. Kind of like in the X-Files, one of the last scenes when Scully presented the bee with the toxins in it or whatever else, and she's standing before this whole court that was getting ready to fire her and whatever else, and she goes, "This is the information. Maybe that you are not qualified to interpret the information before you." And that was a really powerful statement that she had, because here she had the information, and just because all the other people in the room didn't have it or were playing stupid or were whatever, doesn't mean that these facts don't exist. So do your own due diligence in everything, no matter what you do in life, across the board. Okay. All right. I digress. Let's get back into what we came here to see. All right, so I'm going to read a letter. I'm going to omit the name. This is very recent. I mean, like literally within like the last week. Keep in mind that very few of our people have been getting, rejected. I mean, we've got like probably a good 95% success rate. But on the very few times that we do run into hiccups, I like to put those out there. So don't by any means think that, everybody has these problems. But I put this information out here with the special cases, because as I told you years ago when I first started doing this, as we progress and get better at this, there's a strong chance that they're going to start trying to find ways to make more money off of people. They're going to try to deny people. It is what it is. I mean, there's no one cookie cutter stamp across the board for all people, because everybody has different situations. So some people might have been born here or there or in this state, in whatever state. Some states are commonwealths. Okay, so in that case, you might not be a true U.S. national. You might be a state citizen in their particular state, but they might not recognize you as anything but a U.S. citizen or just a state citizen. Which also brings me up to one of the things one of the people, one of my good people out there emailed me. I think his name is Craig. Craig, thank you. I try for those people who don't know, when I say the word U.S. national, that is just one of the ways that we are referred to because that's what the Department of State currently calls us. Just like the IRS might say we're non-resident aliens. Depending on who you talk to, there's you're a state citizen because that's really how it originally started. And before that, people were known as sovereign Americans, or Americans with sovereign power. So all of those terms are really interchangeable, but I just use U.S. national because if I start saying, something that you guys don't see anywhere, like I start saying state citizen, and they don't, you do your research on the Department of State, and it doesn't say that on there because they've kind of merged that term into U.S. national. Then you're going to be like, oh, that Badwolf, he doesn't know what he's talking about, blah, blah, blah. So just take the information and do your research, but understand that a lot of those terms are synonymous with each other. So as I always say, this is educational information and do your own due diligence. So thanks, Craig. I appreciate you. Okay, so once again, I digress. Let's get back into it. All right. Dear so-and-so, thank you for your recent passport application. It appears, hold on, I'm reading this off my cell phone here. Let me go to my link. There we go. It appears from the facts of your birth and the documents you submitted that you are a U.S. citizen and entitled to a U.S. passport. In accordance with the 14th Amendment of the United States, or the Constitution of the United States, all persons born or naturalized in the United States are subject to the jurisdiction thereof, are citizens of the United States. The supreme law of our land, or it says, as supreme law of our land, it cannot be waived by unilateral declaration except as otherwise provided by law. The statutes applicable to the U.S. passport provide that you may be issued a U.S. passport showing you are a U.S. citizen. We are not in the position to respond to or enter into dialogue concerning any views which disagree with the Constitution or the citizenship laws of the United States as interpreted by the courts. Therefore, please be advised, this office is writing you to wish, if you wish a U.S. passport to be issued to you at this time, it will show that you are a U.S. citizen. Okay? Because we have no authority to issue a passport showing you as anything other than a U.S. citizen, your application will be denied unless we receive a response from you within 90 days. Okay, now there's a couple interesting things in here. Remember, guys, this is all educational purposes, even though this is a real letter. This is just my thoughts on it. So some of this, and I'm not going to break it down to the minutia, but this person I know utilized, the explanatory statement, which has been successful with 90 some odd percent of everybody, 95% of everybody who's used it. So you have to understand that sometimes you might get that one agent who doesn't understand the information. It might be a couple agents. You might be 5 or 6. It could be somehow gotten to a different department. We don't know. So that's the part that kind of sucks. And for me, even though I've spoken with the people, I don't know like every subtle detail. Now, I know they're very detail-oriented people, so they probably did everything to the letter. But, there could be stuff in this person's past. It could be something on his history. It could be something where they have wrong information in their database about him. It could be, like I said, to go back, it could be just the agent that he particularly got. So we don't know, and there's no possible way that like I can jump on the phone and get down to the details because they're not going to share that information with me. So my hands are kind of tied in certain areas. Like this, I can only give my advice on what I would do, and in which case we've talked about it and they're going to pursue the particular path that we talked about. What I find interesting, though, it says that they will issue the passport as a U.S. passport. But when you look on the passports, if not all of them, they all say USA on there. Okay? So, yeah, it will be issued this time. And then they say it will show that you are a U.S. citizen. Okay? Well, how do they know that he's not really trying to attempt to be a non-U.S. national, which is already in the on page 1 of 2 on the bottom oath and signature section. How do they know that? So in that, I would consider that a little squirrely, just from my perspective, because they didn't even say that you have the option of this or that. They're just saying no, you're this. So if we go all the way back up, it's some piece in there where it says it appears from the facts of your birth. That's key, and your documents. They're always going to start off with the hardest hitting thing to prove their side. So that's so somewhere in his birth, and I believe, well, I can say this. His state is Mississippi. Might be wrong, so don't quote me, but I'm pretty sure that's where it was. And could there be? I mean, and just hypothetically, was he born at a military hospital? Was he born on? Is Mississippi a Commonwealth? Was the areas that maybe the hospital he was in? Was he born at home? Um, on a military base, or was there something misinformation put on his birth certificate? Could it be that his name is all caps on his birth certificate? So these are the little things that we don't know. It's really hard to diagnose that, and I would feel bad trying to, charge somebody to go through everything, detail by detail by detail, because that could take God knows how long. And also then, to have the time to go through it, for free would be really hard too, especially with all the things I got going on and being constantly booked. So we did come up with a couple of ideas. So if they do in fact watch this, obviously, this is any information after we've talked. So if any of it stands out, utilize it to the best of your ability. Um, and it just, yeah, it says you are entitled to a U.S. passport. But if, like I said, even the one I have in my pocket right now, it says USA passport. So they know that there's a clear difference in there. I mean, and the thing too, it says on the that same signature section and in the acts and conditions, if you differ from any of this information, you are allowed to put in a explanatory statement. It says that. That's their words. That's the remedy, but it's their words. So you have the right to clarify this information. And so based on that, it says in accordance with the 14th Amendment. So for whatever reason, on his birth certificate, and I'm going to make another video in association with this right after this one, it's going to be titled The Birth Affidavit ID or something like that, okay? So be looking for that. But here, once again, so the keywords are birth, documents that you provided, and 14th Amendment. So I really have the understanding that they are classifying this individual as being some information, whether it's his name being in all caps or any of his name or information being capitalized, even the first letter. Depending on who you get, they could be nitpicky on that. You guys got to remember, there's not like 5 agents. There's probably a couple hundred agents in the different offices altogether, and each one was trained on how to do this, and this is their critique on the information presented. Um, so that's why even recently with new information, we've been getting people to submit their information to what we believe is a better department for processing this information. Okay? But for whatever reason, between those key words and things, they're still looking at it that. Now, we all know that the birth certificate is your document for U.S. citizenship. So somewhere in there therein lies the situation or the problem. Okay, subject to the jurisdiction thereof. Especially when they start saying stuff like that.